Welcome back to the HOONSQUAD podcast, guys. Episode 2. We are here.
Very excited for this one. A little upgrade from our previous podcast. We found a studio, and so we'll be doing it from this point on forward. Very excited.
Yeah, so comment below if you guys like it. So today's going to be a little bit of a different one. As you saw episode 1, if you haven't watched it yet, go back to watch that one. But
we had such good feedback from that podcast.
So the podcast moving forward, all of them is, it's all going to be raw, honest, real. All the questions we're going to answer, there's no cookie cutter stuff. Everything is going to be, how we think it should be. We're going to say, everything, share with you guys our stories like you saw in episode 1, how the journey started, the coaching brand, moving to Dubai. And you want to tell them what we're going to touch on now?
Awesome. So we're going to get into a few of the questions that we got asked on our Instagram stories. So, we'll be running through those. So you want to give us the first question?
Yeah, so we're probably going to do this before every podcast. We might not always answer all the questions because obviously we're trying to keep the time limited, have it effective. So we'll just start talking over a question and see where we go from there. So the first question for us that came in, can you do well in bikini when you are tall?
Absolutely. I definitely feel, tall ladies have a bit of, how can I put it? Advantage, with their height. They can add so much more fullness, to their frame. And when you put a tall bikini girl next to a short bikini girl with the same amount of fullness, the tall girl will always, I feel, plays better in an overall situation where a taller person just stands out more, you know what I mean? So, but for sure, they definitely have an advantage in a overall.
And this goes to
lineup.
IFBB and NPC, both is the same in that. So it's a difficult one. So you get tall girls that's obviously looking stringy on stage, and that's unfortunately when you are flat as a tall bikini girl, judges are going to pick it up much quicker than I feel like a shorter girl. It takes more to fill out taller person.
I would definitely agree with that. As a tall bikini athlete myself, I can definitely vouch that it does take us longer to add the amount of fullness needed for that balance in the structure.
And normally muscle as well in the off season.
Absolutely. So yes, it has an advantage of doing better in an overall situation, but you have to put in more time to fill that physique adequately.
Yes.
But
it can also be like if you take, for example, some of you do get tall girls that look very heavy on stage. If you take Phoebe, for example, she needs to I think they really need to get the balance right between not looking too big on stage and like a recent show.
Yes, there's a very fine balance. I feel it's all about nailing that perfect balance, especially when you look at your upper to lower ratio. You have to be as full in the upper compared to your lower body so that you have that perfect balance in place. Where if we take Phoebe as an example, before, compared to her last Olympia look, she was lacking a bit of fullness in her lower body compared to upper body. So the judges' feedback was to fill out the lower body more. So I believe she'll come with that this year.
She definitely gained a lot.
She gained a lot.
Okay, I'm just going to finish all my questions and then we get to yours.
No problem.
So just to answer the question, you can do very well as a tall bikini girl. Obviously, you just need the right guidance to make sure that you, first of all, condition enough but not stringy and full enough. Basically like any girl, but I just feel like it can be more challenging.
Yes.
So how long should a surplus be for off season, and when to know if it's too far? Probably if you push the off season too far, or when to stop. I'm sure they meant.
So basically, I think a good timeline for an off-season push would be around the 16-week mark. Now, it's very important that you do not gain too much body fat in off-season. The more body fat you gain, the less responsive your body becomes to food uptake, right? So you always want to stay, well, I'm speaking here of ladies or bikini athletes, you want to kind of be in the region of the 5 to 7 kilo mark, away from stage weight. That way you'll be always at a responsive place. So you don't have to gain more body fat than that or more weight than that in order to make adequate physique improvements in your off-season push. And I feel once you go over that bracket, bring yourself back down, go into a mini cut phase, 4 weeks or so, just to pick that, sensitivity levels back up, get to a responsive place, get the physique to a tighter place again. If you then do want to push into another off-season phase for growth.
Yeah, so I always just go with how obviously a person looks and responds, and I go with obviously the feedback from them. And when you get to a point, like I had people before that I push, even guys, push, because it's not just about girls, bikini girls, this podcast, but guys I definitely push much further than females.
Yes.
And again, some of them get to the 20-week mark, some of them to the 12-week mark, and we have to pull back. It all depends on obviously how disciplined you are in the off season. And the people with the most success in this game is people that really approach their off season
like their prep
And I'm not saying like you can't go out for like a meal with friends or whatever.
You still need that balance.
I just mean they don't take it off like chill time. That switch is always on. And it's very important. And feedback, like in the off season, let's say they get to 15 weeks, performance is starting to lack. If you're using blood glucose monitor, blood glucose is going sky high. Sleep is starting to lack, and you feel unfit in the gym.
Or you have to get to a point where you have to force feed to get all the food in.
I feel like a female shouldn't get to that point. They're like force feeding.
And guys, do you think they get to a point where they need to force feed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because I feel like not in all cases, it depends on your genetics, but guys can obviously definitely take a lot more food and stay tighter than obviously a female, which is normal. And I just feel like they have more muscle tissue, so they need more food to obviously drive that performance and stuff in the gym, and their metabolism is way faster because of the more muscle that they carry. But yeah, definitely keep an eye on, especially guys, blood glucose, blood pressure, big one. Make sure that doesn't like skyrocket. You want to keep that things in check, and make sure that you don't get fat, guys. It's important. Like the more you play around and mess around in your off season, because I feel like if you get to a point where body fat is really high, at that point you're just going to start gaining body fat. You're not really going to add more muscle tissue from that point, I feel, because responsiveness drop in the body, and you'll just feel that things don't move well. And again, the more you mess around there, the harder you're setting
yourself up for your prep.
So all these people that's been complaining, 4 weeks into a prep, maybe you should look at having a bit more discipline in your off season, and trust me, your prep's going to be a lot smoother. I have a lot of people that enjoy prep, and it's a breeze because they are so disciplined in the off season.
Right. Then you don't have to push the extremes in order to achieve that stage condition when you are in that case, people can easily start a prep at like 16, 12 weeks out and actually be in perfect stage condition when they don't have a lot of body fat to first pull off in order to get there. So the further you take that off season, the
Unfortunately.
further the longer your prep season is going to have to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. I even had people before that's keeping it so tight in the off season that they've done a 10-week, 9-week prep. Not everyone can do this, obviously. Genetic plays a role in this, but yeah, it just shows, you know, you can really set yourself up for a very
big
good and
success.
successful prep. So let's get to the next one. Okay, I should actually skip that question because I'll get to it now. The last question is actually, we can go hand on hand with this one, because it's, should a fat loss phase be aggressive from the start? My coach started me 2 hours cardio.
Wow. That is,
So it
Yes.
depends obviously what the timeline is to the show, but first of all, and it depends on how you look, like we've spoken about now.
yes. I mean, I think any person that, come into their prep season, I feel they should start on the most amounts of food, with the less amount of expenditure. That is where you want to start off from, and then you can week by week make alterations and adapt those numbers accordingly as you see your physique change. You log your data, weight, visuals, and that sort of thing, and then you can adjust on those accordingly. So you want to leave as many tools in the bag, so you can use
Always.
when you start need to cut more. But when you when you start right off the bat using absolutely all tools, 2 hours of cardio, almost no food,
I've seen that before.
your body is going to adapt to that, right? So when you eventually get to a point where you've now plateaued, where do you go from there? It means you'll have to do more than 2 hours cardio, eat even lesser food in order to get to the next drop, and that becomes extremely unhealthy, and that's not an ideal situation.
Yeah, so the if you want to have a nice prep, an effective, not a nice prep, is, how can I say it, a successful prep, and you should not be starting with, I've seen this before when new clients start up, like the way obviously they have done things, and then they're starting off with like, the least calories, the highest cardio, all the fat burning tools in there, and then in that whole phase nothing changes. Like either they get more cardio, but like the fat burning tools,
all on
everything
the
stays
table,
the same the
everything
whole time.
stays the same.
So what happens is, like she mentioned, and I know there's been things out there before that says this doesn't happen and this is not true, but your body does get metabolic adaptation. This is true. I've seen it, and this is what happens is your body gets used to the amount of calories going in. It gets used to the amount of calories that you burn, your expenditure a day, and then that becomes your new metabolic like your metabolic rate. It comes
Your
down,
maintenance,
your
right?
maintenance. And then that's why when people get to a 3 week into, or let's say from 10 weeks to 7 weeks, they start hitting a plateau, it doesn't move anymore. It's because that is happening. And that is why you need to be able to have either food to pull down from, or you need to be able to add more cardio, or maybe a fat burning tool that you can use that's effective. Start bringing it in there if you don't want to like really go that aggressive early on the food yet.
Yeah. And
So-
I mean, you also risk losing muscle tissue when you
Yeah,
do things
100%.
as extreme like that. So you'll end up losing a lot of muscle tissue during that
do.
phase as well.
And there's a lot of tools and stuff, that fat burning tools like the Clean, for example. That is a tool that it's not just a fat burning tool, and the nice thing about it, it doesn't have any hormonal side effects. So it does play a big role also in protecting muscle tissue when that deficit starts getting big. So if you are someone that uses stuff like this, it's not something that you want to use from 20 weeks out already. This is something that you want to leave for when that deficit starts coming in big time, and you know that you're getting risk of, you need help for fat burning, because you don't want to end up doing 5 hours of cardio. That's
Right.
more stress on your body. And secondly, you want to protect that muscle tissue deep
Yes.
in that cutting phase.
I mean, let's be honest, at the end of the day, doing 3 hours of cardio, eating 800 calories per day is more unhealthy to than bringing in a fat burning tool like clenbuterol to assist with extra expenditure. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. But this is obviously for enhanced people. There's obviously a lot of people not enhanced. And in that case, it's actually even more important to go slower down than aggressive, because your risk of losing muscle tissue is even bigger then. But also it's having that fine line, because they tend to be, sometimes if they don't have a fast metabolism, a bit slower on getting that condition as well. So yeah, guys, always leave room in the tank. I always say this.
And
Because-
like also very important aspect would be to give yourself enough time. I've seen so many people not give themselves enough time. They want to start a prep 16, 12 weeks out. I've had people contact me that want me to prep them for stage 8 weeks out. I have no data. I have nothing on you. So for me, I still need to figure out how is your body going to respond to this amount of calories? How's your body going to respond to this amount of expenditure? What other tools have you been using for this period and that sort of thing? So it's very, very important. If you give yourself enough time to be stage ready, you won't have to, do the extremes to get stage ready. And also remember, I think very important, people tend to forget that they think because they want to do a show on XYZ date, it's like the only option, and what I always like to remind the girls is, if you're not ready by XYZ date, it's fine, then we push for the next one. But I'd rather have you 100% ready, in perfect condition, you feeling absolutely great about your physique that you're putting on stage, you feeling proud of the physique you're putting in on stage, then having to squeeze yourself into a shorter prep, go on stage, not looking stage conditioned, and then you feel, embarrassed, and it's just, it doesn't end well. So that's very important. Give yourself
and then
enough
talking
time.
about the aggressiveness, there's obviously two sides of this, because there's a side where some people genetically, unfortunately, have to go to sometimes. So obviously, like we said, don't start aggressive. Make sure there's a lot of tools. It's the healthy way. But there's also comes a time in prep, and this is where a lot of people always tend to complain on social media when the tough times start. But I'm always using CBUM as an example. I always do this. Me and Aida were talking about this the other day.
But I
He
mean,
is
that's
a
why
Olympian.
that's why he's Mr. Olympia for a
He is
reason,
an
right?
Olympian, the best in the world, and he's massive. He weighs 110 kilos, lean, stage ready, and he gets to a
Shredded.
point in his prep where he ate 1,400 calories, and then people want to complain, females that eat maybe 1,400, and I'm not saying no one is the same. You can't, so don't. If I say a number, you have to do that number. This is the thing. Every single person is different.
Yes.
And which is why, trusting your coach and having the right coach is so important, to make sure, it's not copy and paste stuff like we've seen so many times, and that you actually work with your metabolism. But getting to the point, there will come a time where you have to go, I want to say, to a darker side, a side that's really going to be challenging for you. And trust me, you don't see this, but all the Olympians get to that point. All of them just don't show it. But end of the day, that is where champions are made. And, it's in times like that. Like I said, not everyone gets to that point. Like your dark place might be 2,000 calories where mine might be 1,000.
Right.
Because you might feel the same as me on this because
And
of
we
your
will feel
metabolic rate.
exactly the same.
No one is the same.
Right.
So, yeah, just that time might come, you guys, and it's part of the game. Just know that. It brings the absolute best out of you, but it shouldn't come 10 weeks out.
Yes, it's generally people that get super, super shredded. You know, they've been in the dark place because you can't,
If you see quality on stage,
you know
those
they've
are
been
people.
there, right? And I mean, that's a condition, you know, you can be so very proud of because we can tell, okay, you've been there, all respect for that, because very few people, and I mean very few athletes, you know, aren't prepared to push themselves to that place in order to get that condition. That's why you don't see a lot of it.
We've seen the Olympian bikini coaches that spoke about the other day about their Olympians sitting on 2.5 hours of cardio 2 weeks, 3 weeks out from the Olympia.
Peak week.
People don't show that. Their coaches talk about it. They don't talk about it because they obviously don't. They want to like scare people off, I think. But, you know, that is what some of those people at the top level do. And I feel like so many people look up to that, but I think it's all sunshine and roses to get there.
Yeah, it's not
willing to do the work.
It's not an easy walk. It shouldn't be an easy walk. If you want to be the best of the best of the best, you have to do whatever it takes
in anything in life
to get there.
Yeah.
For sure.
I have one more. What questions do you have?
No, it's fine. You can ask.
Difference. Yeah, this is actually because a lot of people don't know this difference between how big is the difference between amateur and pro level, because we've obviously seen it into overseas now.
So I would like to say from my experience that from an absolute newbie coming into the sport for the first time, the gap to fill from being a newbie to getting their first pro card is a lot smaller than the gap to fill from becoming a pro to getting to the Olympia stage. That gap is just ginormous.
For most people.
Yes.
There is obviously one or two genetically freaks.
If you are a genetic freak, then...
For most people.
Yes, but that is like, you know, you very seldomly see someone get their pro card and immediately get the Olympia qualification shortly thereafter. But yes, I'll let you carry on that one.
Yeah, I think actually for our SA people especially, because they obviously a lot of people haven't been, you know, seen the level overseas yet, but some of them have and they know. You know, I think this is something we as coaches, or that I told myself a few weeks ago, I'm going to be way more serious with athletes' goals when it comes to this, because I feel like and it's important to reach high, but some are just taking it too early to high because they haven't seen the real side of that yet. They've seen it on social media, but like she said, you know, the gap from starting off as a novice athlete, getting your pro card for the average for the majority of people, is a lot smaller than the gap from turning pro to getting even a top 5 at pro level, to be honest.
That's true.
Not even winning. So obviously, you know, we've been at the shows. It's incredible to see. It's an eye opener. It's really, really, really good to see. And like I say, you know, I always tell you know, especially people in SA, and I know, you know, everyone can't always afford it, but it's so important to go and do a show overseas for you to experience that. You know, go in with open arms, open mind, and just go for the experience to see how you look next to those people, because you might be winning every single show in SA, which is great, and you might even get a pro card in SA, which is great, but standing as a pro at an amateur level internationally is not even the same. So that's why I say it's so important for you to see that level first, you know, to go and stand at strong shows, to get feedback from judges there, to see how you stand, because obviously we've spoken about this a lot, how people change when they stand in different lineups.
Right.
Like they stand this weekend, they look like this. Next weekend they stand in a different lineup, and they're like wow, okay.
Yes,
So it changes how you look standing next to people.
absolutely.
And I feel like all my people that's been overseas now, especially this year, most of them that's passionate about the sport have gone back home with a crazy drive, like a hunger they've
Yes.
never had before, because they felt that and they want to be there. It's not like they thinking about how is it, they know now how is it.
I got the experience.
So if you go there and you go with, you know, the open
Open
mind, and you see that, trust me, it's going to level you up big time.
Because you can only really tell once you've actually gotten that experience on stage with, you know, amongst the highest level pros. It really is an eye-opener, and then you can really go back and really put in the time and the work in order to attain that next look, come back, you know, and aim for a top 10, you know, at least, you know, level yourself, give yourself time to work those levels. Don't just go from becoming a pro to, oh, I'm going to get top 6 at the first pro show.
Yeah, just because you got a pro card.
It's, you have to set yourself, you know, realistic goals. So it's all levels that you need to.
Exactly, and those levels
climb.
make you better. Yeah, I feel like it's very important to, like I said, to see that and to stand against that. Even for us as coaches, to when we saw it for the first time, yes, it gave me a hunger to get my people dominating that stage, I say. And I mean, talking about my client this weekend at the Brazil, it's an amateur Olympia in Brazil, where
It was insane.
after a while, Steph is like, is this still class A? It's like the 40th guy coming on stage, and it's amateurs, and there's not one guy out of shape.
Right?
Not one.
But not only that, what blew my mind even further was the fact that I was looking at these guys in absolute awe of their physiques, and I'm thinking to myself, I can't believe that half of the people on stage are pros yet, because the quality that's coming through every year has been absolutely insane. I feel like, you know, the quality is improving every single year, and so much so that I feel people who have received pro cards, you know, in the past can't even level up with today's quality of amateur athletes. That's how great the quality is these days.
And it's getting more and more difficult, because there's, especially to get to the O, because there's less shows, not less shows, but you have to win to go, not just points anymore. So they're making it really elite now if you want to go to the O.
Exclusive, right? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, when you stand on the Olympia stage, you want to know that you are up against the best of them all. And my take on, you know, Olympians is, I believe that they are very genetically gifted.
You need the genetics at that level, 100%. Not that they don't work.
They absolutely, they put in the hard yards for sure, but they put in the hard yards and they're genetically gifted. Yes. It's so difficult to compete with that type of combination, because.
But it's not impossible. Everything is possible.
Yes.
People must keep dreaming, but remember to put in the work, because stuff is not just going to come. And you think you might work hard, you need to work 3 times harder. Trust me, when you think you work hard.
When you think you're working hard, there's someone else outworking you
and
always.
I've actually gotten this question a lot. Like, people ask me, why do I think, you know, this country or we here are behind with what you've seen at international level? And it's, you know, sometimes difficult to answer, but I purely, what I realize more and more is that people are obsessed at international. A lot of people are obsessed. Like we've spoken about now, like off season is prep. It's the same thing for them. They just eat more food. They are obsessed with making progress to be better, where I feel like a lot of people chill too much. It's important. Obviously, there's a balance, which I agree. It's very important. Time,
I think if you want to take the sport seriously, you have to be obsessed.
Depends what your goals are. Yeah.
Yes, like, you know, I think there are a lot of people that may see it as a hobby, you know, but for it, at the end of the day, the more work you are going to invest in this, the more time you're going to invest in this, you know, the better you will become as an athlete. But you can't expect just to do a prep and be better next year, you know, without doing the off-season work, because that's essentially when
That's where
you
everything
are,
starts.
yeah, that is where you're going to make those physique improvements to come back better. You don't make physique improvements in a prep,
That's polish and fat loss.
right?
So yeah, guys, keep dreaming, keep working hard, work extra hard, and you know, believe in yourself, because everything is possible. But you need a coach you can trust. You need a coach that's passionate about you achieving your goals. You know, want to see you win, and yeah, if you can compete internationally, do it once, because if you're serious, it's gonna open up your eyes. Trust me.
Yes.
Really. And yeah, just keep working, guys. But I think that's.
Let me,
You still have a question?
yeah, let me see. She had a very good question. Yeah. Hey guys, I wanted to know, how do you get clients to commit long term?
Okay. That is a easy one, actually. Not always. It depends on, obviously, you know, how serious the athlete is when they start with you, because I feel like a lot of athletes start with you, and when they start, their first intentions was already to only be there a month or two. But obviously, if it's someone serious, you build a relationship with, and I feel like it all starts with the service that you deliver and how you make the client feel before it comes to results. So for me, this is something that we are big on in the brand, is obviously giving really good service, making sure people get the same day, feedback, not waiting 2 or 3 days like we've heard.
Yeah, so check-in turnaround time.
Yeah, it's within 24 hours always. If you're competing, it's like this. And I feel like the service comes first, and how you make an athlete feel. And with that, I mean they want to feel important,
I want to feel important. I want to feel part of something special.
Like you care as a coach, you care about them and their goals.
Yes, it's more than just a business transaction, right? There's a lot of attention, care. Especially for me, I enjoy working with first timers, or even like a lot of my clients, lifestyle clients I've worked with for years, and they eventually, something clicks one day and they're like, Steph, what do you think about, me doing a potential show one day? You know what I mean? So, because they obviously see a lot of that on social media from my page and that sort of thing. And then we work, to the next goal. So, but, it's very important that you treat that person however they start their journey. You know what I mean? You can't treat someone that's new to this like an expert athlete or seasoned athlete, because their knowledge is way different, miles apart. So you have to treat your new people or your new first timers completely from scratch. You have to teach them everything from A to Z, and you have to have your patience with them, right? And as long as you keep feeding them the information, teaching them the ways, teaching them, the mindset game, how to be disciplined with your diet, how to be consistent with your cardio, posing and that sort of thing. I just feel that's what's worked for me in the past is, I treat everyone equally that.
We don't even try. We just us. I've never tried to hold clients.
Right.
We're just us. You just have to be you, and you can't force yourself. It's like someone's not a coach. You can't force yourself to be a coach. And, it's like I said, it all starts with the service, and that is just, it's not something I force. It's something I do, because if I were a client, I don't want to wait 3 days for a plan. There's been nights, not nights, every single night where we work till 3, 4 in the morning. Every night I work till then to make sure everyone that's checked in gets their plans back, not the next day, but the same day. And that is not me forcing it. It's me wanting to do it, because if I were in their shoes, I obviously wouldn't have liked it, and that's, I feel like, how it should be.
Absolutely. And even in your feedback, I mean, you give them, how can I put it, when you
Quality.
speak to them, you give them, you know, feedback from your heart, you know, what you feel in terms of how they progressed, in terms of how they did this week.
Not just tell them what to do, explain to them why.
Yeah, explain
It's
to them why,
important,
not just, okay, you know, thumbs up, new plan, or for same diet, let's carry on. Because that's like, how would I feel as a person just receiving that
There's
sort
a lot
of
of
feedback?
top coaches even like that.
I would be like, you know, am I at the right place in terms of my progress? Are we moving forward? Is coach not happy or what?
Yeah.
You need to give your clients more attentive feedback. I feel is very important,
especially
as
in
well.
the early days. Like, the more they know what they're doing, like, you know, I have pros that really knows what they're doing. I don't have to like go into babying them to
Yeah.
make them feel that, okay, I've made progress.
Yes.
They know when I say this and this, okay, it's on, and it's this and this. Or if I just say I have 50 grams of carbs there, they understand. So,
Yes.
but I feel like in the earlier stages is where you build that relationship, and then after time, you know, they understand you, the gel is a lot better.
After working with them for like 2-3 years,
Yeah.
they know you already, so you don't have to explain everything in more detail, right? But I feel, especially if you as a coach want to maintain your clients, keep nourishing your clients.
You need to be passionate. You can't
Yeah.
force it though.
There's a lot of coaches out there that are so hungry to get numbers,
Yeah.
get more clients, but they don't put in the time and the effort to look after what they currently have.
Exactly.
Because what you currently have, your clientele at that very moment in time,
They are going to grow.
is what is going to grow your business and
Yeah.
make your business even more successful. Look after what you have and keep nourishing what you have, and from that way it will grow out even more.
Yeah, leave the rest alone. Just focus on what you have. We've always been doing that.
Yes,
All
I
my
mean,
energy is to my people and only my people.
we've never had to like market coaching.
Clients do that for us because
They
all I
they
focus
the
on.
they are the walking billboard. So whatever they post on social media, oh, someone sees it, they're like, oh, it's coached by JP or Steph, you know what I mean? And then they see the next one, also HOONSQUAD athletes. So
Make
we
your people
literally never punt coaching or advertise coaching on our social media. We don't have to, because people from the outside can already see what's going on the inside. And because we've set up such a great environment for our team and our brand, you know, I get so many people that, you know, contact me and say, Steve, I want to be part of what's going on in the HOONSQUAD. Like, I want to be part of the HOONSQUAD. I want to be part of, you know,
It's a family.
that energy of that family, because I see it looks so good. You know, I love what you guys are doing. That is it. I mean, that is it. It's all about making your people feel special.
100%. Yeah, passion. All starts with passion, eh? Competing, coaching, all of it needs to come naturally out of passion.
From the heart,
That's
for
when
sure.
it comes. If you force something, you're going to fail eventually. Just feel like if it's not for you and you don't like it, don't do
Then
it.
you shouldn't be doing it.
But yeah, I think that's a wrap on episode 2.
Awesome.
Yeah, I hope you guys
Some
enjoyed
good
it.
questions.
It
I love
was.
them.
Please send them in. We'll be like a day or two before every podcast. So we'll do this every second week. Eh?
And if you guys have any questions regarding any of these questions that we answered, please drop them in down below, and we will answer them as well for you.
Yeah, anytime. So comment below. Please share the video. Support.
Yes,
'Cause
we
wanna
really want to
keep
do
doing this and helping more, reach more.
and help more people out there
So
as
like
much as we can.
and comment.
Subscribe.
Episode 3. Boom.
Yes, let's go.
So yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Have a good one. Stay positive. Peace out.
Peace.